हेलो गाइस, कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग। बॉडी बिल्डिंग अपडेटर के अंदर आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत है। एंड आनो क्लासिक डे 2 स्टार्ट हो चुका है। एंड आज की इस वीडियो के अंदर हम लोग देखने वाले हैं रिसेंट में ही 23 इयर्स के विदाउट कोच न्यू IFBB प्रो बने सैम सुलेक के इंटरव्यू को। एंड कंप्लीटली गाइस आप लोग को ये इंटरव्यू देखने को मिलने वाला है। सो वीडियो को गाइस एंड तक देखते रहना, क्या कुछ बताएंगे सैम सुलेक, सारा कुछ आप लोगों को जानने को मिल जाएगा। तो सब्सक्राइब कर लेना। एंड गाइस आनो क्लासिक से जुड़ी सारी अपडेट्स आप लोगों को इसी चैनल पर प्रोवाइड कराई जाएंगे, तो सब्सक्राइब कर लेना जिन्होंने अभी तक नहीं किया या जो चैनल पे पहली बार है। तो मुझे भी सपोर्ट करो। एंड मिलते हैं आनो क्लासेस से जुड़े कुछ और लेटेस्ट एंड इंटरेस्टिंग अपडेट्स के साथ में। तब तक इस वीडियो को आप लोग एंजॉय करिए।
2 months.
Well, yeah, it's really an unbelievable thing. Like, what does it feel like for you, really? What does it feel like to have chased this dream for so long and to have actually achieved it?
Oh, geez. So, I mean, it's I'm much more used to a shorter dieting phase. I'm talking 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, just to reset so I can start bulking back up again. So this is really pushing me to my limit because, I mean, I think this whole prep was about 5 months long. This is my new personal record. I'm 6 months clean from Krispy Kreme donuts. I have yet to relapse. Now, I will say that I did have some Wendy's spicy chicken sandwiches last
There
night.
you go.
Well, that's just a given.
No Canes? When's Canes getting into the act?
It's on the list. Canes is on the list for sure.
Is the bulk officially starting today?
I wouldn't say it's starting today exactly. This is the Arnold weekend's kind of its own thing. I've still got to reset because I'm not ready to squat 500 pounds. You got to sort of get back into the groove of things.
But I just want to get back for a second to so I understand it was really hard to do this, but just a little bit emotionally. And what does it feel like to have actually, because there was so much, well, did you feel there was pressure on you? Because I think from the outside, the way people followed you, it seemed like there must have been pressure to actually deliver it and have it happen.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I think I'm a little bit spoiled because I'm obviously a little overexposed to having a lot of eyes on me, even since last year. So really my biggest pressure coming into that first qualifying show was whether or not I'd actually be able to make weight, because I had to dry out all the way to 217, and just 5 months ago I was 270. So I wasn't exactly certain that was even going to happen. But after that first show, when I managed to make weight, qualify for the Arnold and everything else, it was a little more sure I'd at least be able to show up and really qualify. But the rest of it was kind of just a waiting game. You can't speed up losing a pound of body fat or anything else. And I think I can say with certainty, nobody's done more hours on this cardio bike in the last few months than I have. So it's all just kind of added up, and this ended up being the result.
Yeah, did everyone do their cardio before coming here today, in case he asked? I mean, you said something to me on the phone about feeling good about that, right? Talk about sort of like, you said that you think sometimes you focus so much on the specifics of people who want to be like you, but that there's this huge benefit to just getting out there and doing it, especially this, cardio and physical fitness, and why it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I've probably said this 100 times so far. Just more people in the gym in general, it's going to be a positive feedback loop. I mean, look what it's built up to now. We've got, I don't know how many thousands of people are in this expo today and are going to come through this whole weekend. More people in the gym. Gyms are going to get more funds from having more memberships, better equipment. I mean, I know American Barbell, they're pretty close to here. They're getting ready to do a huge renovation, more space, more everything. And it all just feeds back. So as much as I would like to see a bunch of freaks running around the gym, like, you can't underestimate the power of just working out on a consistent basis anyway. Like, going from 0 to just consistently getting pumps, that's a huge jump. So frankly, I kind of hope everybody's leaving here with a little bit of a mission to start a pilgrimage to bring more guys who aren't lifting into the gym with you, even if they might feel a little nervous about it.
Yeah, that word mission is a great word, and it seems like you had this mission that was a very personal mission. It remained that, but when did you kind of realize, wait, I have this ability now, this kind of platform to make this mission broader, and to actually, like, when did it sort of shift into, oh, I can help people, and I'm gonna do it? Those are two different things. One, I could, and the second is, all right, I'm actually going to try to help people. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, so I think the two kind of went hand in hand, because even back when I was in high school, like no posting, no anything, like I was already kind of the gym nut, where anybody who's a little interested in working out would kind of come to me for just random tidbits of stuff. So as the videos started to get a lot more traction, it's like, okay, I guess people do want to hear some inside info on, like, look, man, if you actually start counting your calories and not lying to yourself, you might actually be able to break past 180. Or it's like, you know, there's a reason some guys are maybe getting a little more winded if you haven't been clocking at least a few minutes on the Stairmaster or the treadmill. Like, it's, the basics are things that I feel they get so overlooked sometimes. You know, we're all looking for the new meta. Everybody's talking about, like, push, pull legs, upper, lower, everything. Like, those are kind of the details that are really just lost. Like, just working out hard on a regular basis, that's basically the ticket.
Yeah, working out hard as you know, as often as you can. You're saying that forgetting sort of like progressive overload and the science of it, but you're saying the benefit of just doing a hard thing for your body regularly is like life-changing.
Yeah, I've made an analogy like this before. It's like if you want to, you know, build whatever kind of like imagine somebody's goal, just make as much money as possible. Should they try to invest $100 into like a certain crypto and wait for it to blow up, or just clock hours working? Which one's going to work out better? So when guys are trying to, you know, get into this analysis paralysis of, okay, should I do 9 reps or will 8 reps actually be better? It's like you're getting lost in the details. If you stare at the tree, you miss the forest.
Yeah, how much of do you think the mindset you have about this stuff ties into your training as an engineer and the stuff that you read and learned for that? Meaning that it seems to me you're able to look at a problem, a bunch of these problems, like how to make videos, how to change your body, how to shift. How much of that ties into the stuff that you've studied and learned as an engineer? How much of that was like, I became an engineer because that's the way I thought?
Oh, I think it definitely helps. I mean, we've all heard the clip where Dorian Yates is talking about how he's got a real mathematical mind, and like that's why he really resonated with Mike Mentzer and everything. But a lot of it's just trial and error. So if you come up with some sort of random routine, I mean, we've all done it. I've got old Google Drives with like the strangest triceps and hamstrings, shoulders and calves, like the weirdest workouts, but sticking to it for 3 months, seeing what happens, and then thinking, all right, maybe I should adjust this. Maybe I should make this sort of change. And just doing that experiment on yourself will actually let you get a better grasp of like your own build. Like, you can't forget when these guys talk about real cut and dry rules about working out and how it's supposed to work. It's not like they have lived your life or have your body. So from my perspective, it makes sense to just try to optimize your routine for you specifically. Now, it's a little bit of a chore because you've got to be responsible for figuring that stuff out. But once you've done it, it's like you've got your own, your own race car with the seat perfectly adjusted to you. And you're going to be way more comfortable rather than having to jump into somebody else's totally random program that they came up with probably half just reading what other people thought of.
Yeah, it's interesting though. That's a great analogy, the race car thing. But you know, humans get very attached to their own ideas and their own way of doing things. Right? Iterating is hard because sometimes humans go, well, I want to do it this way, and once they've said that publicly, it's hard to reverse course.
Oh my God, that's a really good point, because it's so tricky to have a good public discourse about working out.
Yes.
Because what works for one guy, I mean, you could see a CrossFitter, dude, there's a ton here, absolutely jacked. Like, they could look bigger than the guy who's training at a bodybuilding style. So 2 guys can do things absolutely differently, both come to the same result, and now instead of just agreeing that multiple things work, one guy still says he's right, and the other guy still says he's right. And it just turns into this back and forth. Plus, anybody that sells workout programs, they're not going to be open to new ideas. They want to stick with what they say. So it's a little tricky to read between the lines. Like, I think the whole social media in general about fitness, it's an awesome resource, but you've got to have the filter of being able to say, okay, I don't know if this guy really knows what he's talking about. This is a good piece of information. This is a good piece of information. This is stupid. Like, and if you can funnel those and just grab on to the tidbits that are really semi-accurate, or at least make sense to you, then you're just setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, well, one great thing about the videos and the way you show yourself going through this process is, like when Samson and you were working out and he was sort of questioning certain ideas, even in the videos a couple of days later, you were pushing back a little bit. But then, like a month later, you were kind of quoting him a little bit, and like you changed slightly in spots. And I wonder what that felt like. I'm really interested in like how you've, because so many people have opinions about what you do. How have you decided, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm not gonna try that one? Like, what's that internal process like?
Yeah, so it's slow, but it's steady. Like I'm pretty proud of this. My rate of injury in the gym has decreased very rapidly. Like I haven't pulled a chest or my quad or my hamstring for like, I'm thinking a full year, and now I gotta knock on wood or something. I don't want to jinx it, but I think I've gradually taken in some of these good tips. All right, maybe I don't need to bench 405. Maybe I can back off a little bit, try not to pull anything. But it's a slow process, because of course, nobody wants to be told they're wrong. It's kind of hard to say, all right, maybe this guy's right, maybe I should back off.
Well, yeah, it's the food thing too, right? All of it, where in the beginning you were like really, I don't want to say defiant, but pretty defiant about things like ice cream. And it's not like you're never going to eat ice cream. Of course you're going to eat ice cream. People like ice cream, right? But you did shift your diet too, even in the bulk phases. And after making those kind of, pronouncements, was it hard for you to go, okay, I'm going to reverse course, and I'm going to reverse course publicly? Because your openness, I think, is so much of what makes all of us so fascinated with what you do. Is it hard to like stay that open even when you're wrong about something and have to change course?
Yeah, not exactly, but yeah, I mean, I was just doing a little talk for the video I'll post today, last night, where going into this next bulking phase, my ratio of junk food to more bodybuilder style rice and potatoes, it's getting closer to more of an 80% solid, maybe 20% junk ratio, where it used to be, half and half might even be a stretch. But that's not just from hearing someone say that. Over this last time when I went from 230 to 270, I tried cleaning up the carbs, cleaning up some of the fats, getting a little more strict with the bulking phase, and it ended up working a little bit. So maybe simpler food actually does have an easier process going through me. But it's easier for me to say that now because I've actually tried it. So I said, all right, let's try something a little different, see if it works. All right, this did work. Maybe I gotta back off a little, not recommend so many donuts. But for the hard gainer, don't forget, there's no getting around your calorie intake.
So and look, donuts are great occasionally, have a donut, but don't only eat donuts. So your family gets such a huge kick out of you. It's so fun yesterday sitting right in front of your family. I won't point them out to make their lives difficult, but I'm watching them now laughing at everything you say, and it was so touching how much support you have. You don't talk about it that much, but like, I don't know, how valuable is that to you? It's clear these are sounding boards for you, and also people who unconditionally, as a dad, I can see it. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what do you get from looking out and seeing your family with this level of commitment and support? It's not only Mark. Mark's not your mom and dad. People might be confused. You actually have a mom and dad.
Oh yeah, so it's no, that's really nice. It was extra fun, especially during the open pose downs where they let you just walk around, because I could point them out in the crowd, walk right in front, most muscular, everything. But it's there was definitely an adjustment period for them too. I mean, it feels like yesterday that I was 160 pounds with a mason jar full of egg whites and a bowl of sardines, and this was like basically out of nowhere, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. But if you stick to it long enough, they'll kind of start to conform to what you're about. But that's a pretty good point to bring up. Some guys are, you might be in a little bit of a trickier situation if you want to start getting a bit more control of your diet and your calories, because if everybody in your house isn't really fitness oriented and it's just you, they might look at you a little funny if you bust out the food scale and you're weighing out your egg whites and your rice and everything else, and that's where I gotta say, just stick with it. I remember going to high school and bringing a full tray of boiled egg whites. I probably could have just not done that and made myself look crazy, but you got to be crazy if you want to look crazy.
Well, yeah, and it really, it was really nice to see the sort of connection that you have with them. And is that part of what made you stay in state for college? Like, how did you decide that you wanted to be sort of near home?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, even now with all the fitness blowing up, it's like, Sam, why haven't you moved to LA? What's the difference? The weight is still going to weigh the same right over here. And everybody I know is right where I live. What's the point of leaving? I
mean, I'm in the movie and TV business, and I've never fucking moved to LA, so I understand completely. Yeah. You know, though I support LA with the fires and everything like that, but yeah, I'm not living there right now. Talk about your motivation, because picturing you at college when all this was happening, before we get to motivation, I have to know, because you never really show people reacting to you in the videos, and I think that's a really great thing, and it really does separate you from a different kind of, let's say, LA figure who's doing this kind of stuff. That's a choice, right? As a filmmaker, it's a choice not to show people reacting to you in gyms. So how did you keep it semi-normal at college when you became unbelievably famous? Yeah,
so I mean, by the time I was actually lifting at the college gym, I was getting pretty big already. Like, I was around 200 or so pounds. And I mean, at any gym you go to, there's probably some guy who's maybe a little bit of a front runner. For me, back at the gym I started at, you know, I'm 165 pounds, like maybe 5'8" or something. And there was this 280 pound, 6'3" dude, hoodie on. I don't think I've ever seen anybody more serious in my life. But I got to use him as a good example of just like, I mean, you never saw him slacking off. You know, I've moved around some weight before, but he was really, just a total freak. But for him, that's normal. Like, just coming to the gym, being that serious, like, that's just what he's about. So, like, all the videos where I'll get comments like, don't these guys know they're working out with Sam Sulek? It's like, I've been going to that same gym for 6 years. They've seen me the whole time. They're a little bit more used to it.
Yeah, but there's no doubt that when you're walking around college, people had to act different toward you at some point.
Not too much, honestly. It was still pretty natural, because it all came up while I was around them, you know.
And what about when you're walking around the world now? Is your life different when you walk in to get coffee somewhere? Do people kind of react in a way that surprises you? Are you walking around aware that I'm going to walk through this room, not here where obviously everyone knows you, but how has that changed your life?
No, a little bit. I think I'm extra spoiled is now I've never been skimped out on my serving sizes at Chipotle. Basically every order, as long as I walk in, I mean, this thing is totally full. So apart from that, and just getting waved at and recognized, things are still pretty similar. It's really nice. Anytime I go to any new gym when I travel, I feel like I'm always getting special treatment.
How did you make the decision? You started gaining traction, and I just want to say, as I'm sure so many people feel this way, in my own gym life where I'm a very devoted exerciser, your videos, I was at the beginning of the thing, really helped me, because you explained stuff in a way that wasn't too scientific, and it was like really part of what enabled me to change the way I feel was because of your stuff, right? And I'm sure you get that every day, and I want to know, when you get that, from people, does it affect you? Do you care about the effect that you had in that way?
Yeah, and I think it's a really cool back and forth, because I don't think I'd actually be in this exact situation, like bodybuilding wise, if it weren't for this whole back and forth of explaining everything I'm doing. Because now, for the past 2 years, every time I'm working out, I get to basically verbalize every set. Okay, did that feel good? Did I actually push myself? Okay, maybe I should adjust this. And I think it's an awesome resource, because now, there's all these videos of documentations, but it's also for me to reflect and improve on lift after lift. So I might be a totally different Sam if it weren't for that first video.
When people started cutting up your videos and making their own videos with it, I saw your mom react to that, and I think she didn't like it, but as I might not have liked it at first. But how did you feel? Because you made a really great business decision to support it actually and like get a kick out of it because it really helped you go viral. I think that people made all sorts of memes out of your stuff, and you made memes out of your stuff too, I know, which I love that you did that. But how did you feel about people in the beginning cutting up your stuff and using it, but then also when, you know, really smart, I've heard you sing Jeff Nippert's praises, and I think Jeff Nippert's great too, you know, done great content. But like when he says, hey, my video does 3 times as well when I mention Sam Sulek, how do you sort of feel about that you've become kind of the material that has an industry uses, you know, and you don't benefit financially from that?
Yeah, oh well, it, you know, it just feeds into kind of the all publicity is good publicity kind of thing. But it's, you know, sometimes it's a little much. I mean, I'm sure we've all scrolled and seen like 3 Sam videos in a row, and I think I'm probably the worst because like I literally just did that workout the day before. Now I'm seeing it forced back at me again. But overall, I think it's sweet.
Yeah, but at first, did you think it was good from the beginning? You liked it?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And what about the criticism? Like, how do you roll with the level of criticism that shows up? You know, not any specific people, and not even like influencers. Like, even whether they're well-intentioned or they're just trying to profit off it, it seems that it doesn't really penetrate you, the criticism. And most human beings really kind of like wilt at that kind of criticism, right? So I think it's valuable to talk about your self-talk about criticism because I think it will help people. So how do you process that kind of criticism? And what did you train yourself to do to not let it make you sad?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's definitely an angle to be looked at. If you see a million comments all saying the absolute craziest stuff you've ever seen in your life, I could definitely mess with some guys. And I don't really see it from the back end or anything. Like, I'm not talking to anybody about their comments or whatever.
Right.
But like, you can imagine that would really eat at somebody. But I mean, it's all just on the phone. And if you're putting yourself on display, you get the credit for being on display, but you've also got to take random criticism. Plus, I mean, you know, half of these comments are just coming from somebody on the toilet, on the phone. They're just saying it because.
Yeah.
And then by the time 3 seconds have passed, they completely forgot about it. So I would say if you're on track to blowing up, try not to let any comments mess with you, right? Just focus on your own stuff.
But then not even the toilet-dwelling, you know, people who are in their underwear watching you, I think more broadly, right? Learning how to separate good criticism from bad criticism is like valuable. And so can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so that's good too. I mean, I'm really glad that I was able to do this second show after the first one.
Yes.
And make those leg posing adjustments. Because if I didn't have this show, I'd be hearing those leg comments forever. So I'm glad I was able to kind of get that out of the way. But there is a way to look at it, because even if somebody says something mean to you, like this is, I think David Goggins said something like this, like, if somebody calls you fat, they might be an asshole, but you might also be fat. So
yes.
Sometimes, not to say that specifically, but somebody could say something mean and still be right. So if you can separate that and look at it as just an objective statement and take the value from it, then you're a little more set for just translating negativity into a positivity. Like I'm a little spoiled now because I'm always going to the gyms, but when I started working out in my home gym, I would get real amped up knowing some of these guys were at full-fledged bodybuilding fitness centers with every piece of equipment ever, and I've just got rusty plates and dumbbells. I'm like, oh, what do they need all that stuff for? And I'm like lifting at 2 a.m. My dad's texting me to stop banging the weights around. Like, anytime you can turn some kind of weakness or angle back around and get yourself hyped up. I know it sounds kind of silly to say it like that simply, like it's a little more complex than that. But if you can flip it around and like get yourself amped, then I think you're in a better situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does, and it had to be a little satisfying for you when yesterday TNF acknowledged your legs and went through it. Like, I even was like watching that, and I was like, there you go. He, you know, the guy like him and other guys who pointed something out and then saw you address it and we're like, look at that, it's better. Did that feel good for you?
Oh yes, that was a real nice instant gratification of a quick adjustment. So now going forward competition-wise, right, most of the critiques are very size-based. And luckily, you know, getting bigger, I feel like that's more of my strong suit because I was going to do that anyway. So over these next couple of months, that's one of my primary concerns.
Well, yeah, I really wanted to ask you about this. You know, the strong men are about to deadlift right over there, you know, in a little while. And in your, you know, the beginning bunch of first few months, you still were getting such a kick out of getting stronger. Like when you would lift a certain number of plates sometimes, you would kind of laugh to yourself about just the sheer strength and power of what you were doing. And then the focus shifted and got more very, very specific, right? Do you ever miss just throwing weight around? And like, I know sometimes you still do, for a set maybe, but I just wonder about the joy of like that thing of just, fuck it, I'm getting stronger, I'm bigger, and what you felt in those moments, and if you ever missed that.
Yeah, so it's a good back and forth. I've definitely been on the opposite spectrum of really throwing weight around because the whole point of the working out for the last 5 months is just maintain the size I've already got. Like I haven't squatted for quite a while, at least not over 4 plates or so. So now I've definitely got an itch to come back to it. But it's really just a situation of what the goal is at that current moment. Like it's probably not going to do me any good to try to curl a 90-pound dumbbell and rip my bicep off 2 weeks before a show, and I feel like a total fool having to say that to so many people. But it's just a different style of training. But once I start eating extra food, that's when some more weight will be thrown around. But within reason, I do not want to break my streak of non-injury.
Last question, before everyone should go to Sam's booth and go to, right, you're going to be at your booth and you're selling clothes at your booth?
Yeah, so we did get a merch booth this time, but it's not going to be manned, so I won't be floating around there, at least not for today.
Got it. Last thing is, what is next for you in terms of this sort of Sam Sulek oh, sorry, I gotta ask one thing first. Whose idea was the basement gym? Like, how did the basement gym end up in your house? Was it you who wanted it?
Yeah, so the building blocks of the basement gym were actually already there. My dad had a set of dumbbells, 5 to 50s, barbell, weights, no rack though. So even as kids, when we'd crawl around the crawl space, just messing around,
awesome,
we'd see them in there and we'd mess around. I wonder if that was like a little seed implanted in my mind to actually start, the lifting. But that was right after sophomore year of high school. I got my dad to buy us some weight, not even a rack, it was weight stands, which I would not recommend. They're like super dangerous if you're squatting or anything else like that. I'd say get a full cage rack. I mean, we've all seen what could go wrong if you're benching alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of my idea. So I moved into the basement, and my room was half a bedroom on this side, and then a weight rack with a bench and everything else on this side. I stuck some LED lights on the ceiling so they'd be nice down lighting. Yeah, I miss it a little bit. The whole basement's a mess now, so I haven't lifted down there for a little while.
You got to make it a museum, guys. You can't let it be a mess. It has to be a fucking museum. Everybody, Sam Sulek, thank you so much, Sam. Congratulations again.
तो गाइज आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही, एंड बहुत जल्दी अभी तो और भी क्रिस बमस्टर, डेक लंसफोर्ड एंड जे कटलर, रॉनी कॉलमैन के काफ़ी इंटरव्यूज आना बाकी हैं, बहुत कुछ आना बाकी है। तो गाइज सब्सक्राइब कर लेना जिन्होंने अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया या जो चैनल पे पहली बार आए हो। तो आर्नोल्ड क्लासिक की सारी अपडेट्स यहाँ पे आप लोग को फास्टेस्ट एंड लेटेस्ट प्रोवाइड कराई जाएंगी, तो सब्सक्राइब कर लेना जिन्होंने अभी तक नहीं किया या जो चैनल पर पहली बार आए हो।